As opposed to soils in forested areas, urban soils may be altered in such a way as to become unfavorable for tree growth and development. For example, urban soils often lack an organic layer. The soil may be compacted or crusted and may have a disrupted soil profile, altered drainage, elevated pH, chemical contamination, or subsurface barriers as a result of building foundations, roads, or underground utilities. The biological makeup of urban soils is typically very different from soils found in natural woodlands. These factors may impact root growth and tree health, eventually leading to decline over a shorter period than would be found in nature. Turf, bare ground, and/or pavement replaces the organic layer in many urban soils. Paving may impair aeration and water infiltration. Organic matter reduction decreases biological activity, hampers soil structure development, and interrupts nutrient cycling. Urban soils may also lack important microorganisms such as mycorrhizae. Furthermore, the absence of the insulating forest organic layer and understory vegetation can contribute to greater fluctuations in temperature extremes. All of these factors reduce the sustainability of urban forests or landscapes. Compaction is one of the biggest problems in urban soils. Foot traffic, vehicle traffic, construction activities, and poor management practices can all lead to compaction. Compaction breaks up soil aggregates, reduces air-filled pore space, increases bulk density, limits gas exchange, and reduces water infiltration. Trees and soils are so ecologically interdependent that it is hard to imagine separating them from one another. Yet the processes involved with urban development disrupt this ecological balance, creating growing conditions that may range from unfavorable to impossible. A large percentage of tree decline situations can be attributed to an initial soil stress. Trees are living organisms that depend on soil to meet their water and nutrient demands. Nutrient availability depends on soil chemistry and biological activity, both of which may be greatly altered in an urban environment. Soil must also have sufficient pore space to allow for root growth and gas exchange while still providing enough anchorage to support a tree weighing several tons. While it is possible to correct or improve a number of poor soil conditions associated with urban sites, some are more easily remedied than others. For instance, drainage can be improved and compaction reduced, but this is most easily accomplished on sites where trees have not been planted yet. In contrast, organic matter addition and nutrient deficiency correction are feasible even around established trees. Poor drainage is a common problem in urban soils. Options to correct this problem depend both on the nature of the drainage problem and whether the goal is to correct problems prior to planting or around established trees. In many cases, poor drainage is caused by subsurface soil compaction during construction. In the absence of established trees, pipes, or other underground utilities, tillage with a rototiller, subsoiler, or disc harrow can improve these conditions. In small areas, such as landscape islands, a backhoe and/or auger may be used to dig, lift, and replace the soil. In other instances, poor drainage is the result of surface and subsurface flow collecting at the base of slopes. If that's the case, installation of a French drain that intercepts flow and diverts it away from the area may help. Where drainage problems are severe, tile drains can be installed under the poorly drained area. Attention must be paid to drainage between the developed soils and subsurface layers. Compaction of the soil is also a leading cause of tree decline in urban areas. Compaction problems are best managed by avoidance, which includes protecting future planting sites during construction and controlling foot and vehicular traffic around established trees. Once a soil is compacted, it is difficult to correct. Compaction problems around established trees can be improved using a specialized compressed air device that breaks up soil while leaving the tree root system intact. When using this device, organic matter can be incorporated into the soil to further improve soil conditions and extend decompaction effects. Amending soil with organic matter can provide multiple benefits, such as improve water infiltration, increase water holding capacity, improve aeration, and enhance cation exchange capacity. Additionally, the activity of soil animals responsible for creating and maintaining soil structure is increased by organic additions. Organic amendments should be well composted, black or dark brown in color, and have an organic odor. The most common organic amendments are composted materials of various types. Incorporating organic matter is relatively inexpensive and easy to do. Generally, the organic matter is incorporated into the soil at a rate of 15 to 20% or less by volume. Often, incorporation is quite shallow around established trees, but deeper is usually better if practical. The effects can be long-term, but are not permanent. Also, as the organic matter decomposes, the soil will shrink some. The amount of shrinkage varies with the content and the level of decomposition of the amendment. Mulching the soil surface with an organic mulch has many beneficial effects. Mulch can reduce surface compaction and crusting, improving water infiltration. Soil erosion is reduced, weed competition is decreased, and temperature fluctuations are moderated. Over time, soil structure can be improved and mulching may decrease soil surface pH on excessively alkaline soils. Soil chemical conditions are generally modified to address essential element deficiencies or adverse pH levels. Soil tests and foliage analysis are most commonly used to determine if nutrient limitations or excesses exist. Many soil testing laboratories provide recommendations for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and other elements based on these results. High salt levels can be corrected by flushing with water. Sometimes gypsum can be added to correct problems caused by excess soil sodium. Soil improvement limitations and costs vary from site to site. Certainly there are more options on a new development site than a site with mature, established trees. The smaller the volume of the soil in question, the less expensive modifications will be, and possibly the more important the quality of the soil. In limited cases, soil replacement might be an option, and the soil mix, texture, organic matter, pH, etc., can be specified. More often, however, working with the existing soil is the only option. The relationship between tree root systems and the characteristics of soils in which they grow has a significant influence on tree health and performance. Native soils are the result of millions of years of biological, chemical, and physical weathering of parent material or underlying bedrock. The effects of rainfall, heating and cooling, chemical reactions, and biological activities over time develop horizontal layers below the surface called horizons, making up a soil profile. There are 4 major horizons in a soil profile. 1. The O horizon, topmost layer, is also known as the organic layer. 2. The A horizon contains most of the absorbing roots and is very biologically active. 3. The B horizon intermediate in depth, is composed of fine-textured materials from the A horizon and soil particles from lower parent material, O, A, and sometimes the upper part of B horizons are referred to as topsoil. The C horizon, deepest layer, is composed of partially weathered parent material. The organic matter present in the O horizon improves soil structure and serves as food source for soil organisms. Growth and movement of these organisms through the soil improve soil aeration and structural components of soils. Tree roots grow where soil conditions are favorable and require adequate oxygen and water. Thus, absorbing roots are most frequently found in the upper 6 to 10 inches 15 to 25 centimeters of soil, and tree roots seldom grow deeper than 3 to 4 feet, 1 to 1.2 meters. Soil texture refers to the fineness or coarseness of soil particles, specifically the relative proportions of sand, silt, and clay. Soil texture determines its ability to hold water and to provide oxygen to the roots. As soil weathers, soil particles form clumps, known as soil aggregates, and influence soil structure. Macropores are relatively large spaces between aggregates that become filled with air as water drains from the soil. Micropores are relatively small spaces within aggregates that retain water. A well-structured soil has sufficient macropore space for air movement, aeration, and micropore space for water retention. Soil compaction, the compression of soil aggregates, can have adverse effects on water infiltration and percolation. Compacted soil also restricts root growth, limits the movement of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the root zone, and can limit the biological component of soil by reducing the large pores required by larger organisms to move through the soil. Insufficient gas exchange between the soil and the atmosphere due to soil compaction may result in an oxygen deficit that leads to reduced root function and growth, and even root death. Soil pH is a measure of the acidity or alkalinity of soil. The pH scale ranges from 0 to 14, with a pH of 7 considered neutral. Soils with a pH less than 7 are acidic, and those with a pH greater than 7 are alkaline. Although variable, a pH in the range of 6.0 to 6.5 is generally favorable for most plants. It is possible to alter soil pH to achieve a more desirable growing medium, but many soils have a high buffering capacity or resistance to changes in pH. In such cases, soil amendments may only have temporary effects, requiring reapplication. Minerals required for tree growth dissolve in water, making them available for absorption by tree roots. In solution, these elements are charged particles called ions. Negatively charged ions are called anions. Positively charged particles are called cations. The cation exchange capacity, CEC, is a measure of the soil's attraction, retention, and exchange of positively charged ions. Soils high in clay and organic matter, fine-textured, normally carry a negative charge, which attracts and holds cations, giving such soils a high cation exchange capacity. This makes them more fertile than coarse-textured soils. The rhizosphere is an altered environment within the soil where many organisms flourish. As roots extend through the soil, the root caps and external layers are sloughed off and materials, sugars, from the roots are released into the soil. This is a constant source of organic matter on which microorganisms feed. Mycorrhizae, literally meaning fungus roots, are specialized root structures created when mycorrhizal fungi infect roots of a suitable host plant, living in a mutualistic symbiotic relationship with the roots. A soil with a large proportion of micropores has a high water holding capacity. Water that drains from the larger macropores is called gravitational water. A soil is said to be at field capacity when all gravitational water has drained. Water remaining in the micropores is either available, accessible for plant uptake, or unavailable, held tightly in the soil. Soil reaches the permanent wilting point when available water is depleted and water-stressed trees cannot recover. For healthy and vigorous trees, soil moisture levels should remain between the permanent wilting point and field capacity. Layers of varying soil texture are common in urban soils and can be a problem in planting situations. The texture of the soil plays a major role in the infiltration rate of water. If a layer of coarse soil, sand, is on top of a fine-textured soil, clay, water will accumulate in the upper layer as it slowly infiltrates into the lower layer. Conversely, if the coarse layer is below the fine layer, the water will not drain into the lower layer until the upper layer is completely saturated. Human activity is the principal influence on urban soils, often degrading the natural characteristics that benefit trees. Lacking an organic layer, the soil may be compacted or crusted and may have a disrupted soil profile, altered drainage, elevated pH, chemical contamination, or subsurface barriers as a result of building foundations, roads, or underground utilities. All of these circumstances, plus many other factors, reduce the sustainability of urban forests or landscapes. Trees and soils are so ecologically interdependent that it is hard to imagine separating them from one another. Trees must obtain sufficient oxygen, water, essential elements, and other components from the soil to meet their energy requirements. Understanding soil is vital to arboriculture because soil is, quite literally, the foundation within which a tree grows.